Hi, I'm Dave Caissy, founder of the Innovation Leaders Club. In this video, I'm going to cover the topic that we had in 2024. So we have an annual theme. So in 2024, we had implementing an ambitious innovation program as the main theme. So let me cover as an executive summary what we mean by this. And obviously, I will not cover everything in one video. So there'll be subsequent video coming in a few weeks, and so stay tuned in order to watch those videos. So let's get into the first, like a little bit of background when we get into first, what is innovation? So it's a very broad term, but for the Innovation Leaders Club, we came up with kind of an agreement of a definition. First, it has to be a novelty into the offering. But keep in mind, this novelty does not mean that you're the first in the world to do it, but it's new in your offering. It will be visible to your customer. So if you do something and you don't tell your customer, let's say if you improve a process, so it improve quality and it's not visible, or especially when it reduce costs and you just improve your margin and you don't transfer anything to your customer, so it is not considered innovation because your customer won't see it, because ultimately it has to create value for these customers. So let's go back to the for the program, innovation program. So we have some statistics from the club member, and what is interesting, it's we asked the question, how many companies and organization have program management, and we had out of 110 companies responding, we had 56 respondents that mentioned that they had program in place. And keep in mind, that was back in 2023. So we discussed this topic all year long. So ultimately, I would assume today that if I would ask the 110 companies, we would have more than 66. So, but what is interesting, it kind of really shows it's a popular topic when it comes to innovation. And it's popular because it's not new. If you look back in time, you see the Apollo program that allows the man to ultimately get to the moon was a program. It was such a large program that it had some sub program. So if you look at the timeline, you see a program, it's on multiple years. And in this program, what is interesting, it's for those that are good in history, Apollo 11 went on the moon with Neil Armstrong, but and those that are more Hollywood type, Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks movie when they had a problem. So you notice that a program can be very large with multiple sub-program, and but ultimately it has a common goal, and that's ultimately this is what we have in the program. So we have an ambition within a program, and this ambition can be bold, as you notice, but most of the time it is bold enough that it cannot be accomplished within one project. This is what it will require multiple projects to get there. And knowing the ambition, then there's the innovation program, which is the mean to achieve and to get to this ambition, ultimately to get those business results. Business can be sales, but if you're, let's say, in a hospital, so it can be how you can serve more clients, and if you're in a city, how you can improve service to the citizen out of your city. So ultimately, there's more than business. So obviously, there are other ways of measuring innovation success than dollars in some industries. So let's look at what is the definition of a program. So it is a combination of multiple projects sharing a common vision and objective. And this is key. Ultimately, the different projects are going towards the same direction. So let's say if I'm trying to improve our customer experience, I may have multiple initiatives in parallel, but ultimately it's to improve the the customer experience within our organization. So ultimately, it goes towards the same objective. And the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. This is very well said, but what does it mean? It means that if you take the different projects, they have a certain value, but if you add them up, it creates a greater value. In a sense that if I do one project and it brings value. But if I do, let's say I'm at the seventh project, so we have done 6 other projects before, so the seventh project would reuse what the other 6 I had before. So then I'm become much more effective because I'm reusing the knowledge. I may reuse a platform that was developed and bonify over time. So it allows more effectiveness of innovation, and this is what we mean by that. And ultimately, there's a scope 3 minimum to 10 years. So most of the time, if it's 3 years, it's probably a project that is at the end, because if we were to plan, sorry, not a project, but a program. So if we're to plan a new program, I would assume that we would have an ambition for more than 10 years. In some industries, 10 years is not enough, like aerospace, like energy, utility. These guys, 10 years is like almost like tomorrow. So, but for most of the organization, 10 years, it's far enough to make things interesting. So if we're looking also at the tactical versus strategic innovation, because we can make a parallel with the program versus projects. So if we look at tactical innovation, this is composed of multiple projects that offers improvement in customization, line extension. Those are the smaller things that allow us to support the business that we're in right now. But ultimately, when we're looking at program, we have few program, while tactical, we have many. What is interesting when we're looking at the tactical innovation, if you talk to your management team, even to your board, they would not know what we have into the tactical because there are too many. But if you have program in place, most of the management team and even board members would know what are the program, because we have few of them, they're bold, and we have them for multiple years. So the even organization that have added the branding to the program, they put a name and they even get some logos and t-shirt, and people work to work a program because it's a bold innovation that we're aiming for multiple years, and ultimately people get to know. So it's kind of internal branding, I may say. So ultimately, what you could, if you're starting, it's how you can move from tactical and moving towards being more strategic. Because in some cases, like I was mentioning, you could improve the customer experience, and there could be multiple initiatives within the organization, and they're all working by themselves. But let's say if we would put all that energy working together towards the same goal, ultimately we could make something that makes more sense, and it brings to the definition of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And so if you're to start and maybe you will say, oh yeah, but I have project right now, and how do I move to program? And so if you're not so good into project management, it will be tough to do program management, because program management will not resolve your project management issue. But if you're good, or if you want to bring project management to another level, or if you want to bring a project manager to another level, you bring them to the program, because this is the next logical step to project. So if you're to start also, you may have total tactical portfolio, and maybe you could at least identify one program within your portfolio. And ultimately, the goal is to have more than half, or I would say the majority, 70, 80% of your portfolio being within a program, so you would have a more strategic portfolio as it is to have a tactical portfolio. So let's look at what you could have, which is realist target, and here's a look at an organization that they have 3 programs, E, B, and C, and then there are some tacticals. So obviously management team will not remember the different tactical we have, but they will remember A, B, and C because we'll have them for multiple years. And it makes innovation management much more simpler, knowing that we have A, B, and C. Then we can, let's say if you to prioritize, then you prioritize project within a program. But prioritization within a program, it's more looking at the logical sequence of how we should do things. And because there's no reason why you should do project number 5 if 1 or 2 or 3 are not done. So it makes the prioritization to make more sense. Like you compare apple with apple and bananas with bananas, and that's what is interesting. You want to add a key performance indicator. This is quite easy to do. Here it is. You look at the color. Those that are not blue means they are active, on track when it's green. And obviously, if you to present this to your management team, they would obviously identify the red and ask question right away. And so it makes innovation management much more simpler. I really do believe if you make things simpler, people will be more willing to invest into it. So if you, let's say you have 1, 2, 3, 4, like you have 9, 11 projects and there's no program, people will see like there's a bunch of projects and they don't even know where you're going. Well, here I have a program, here I have a program, here I have a program. Ultimately, people know where we're going. And obviously we have like 15, 20% of what is tactical in this case. Management team will not necessarily know what is in tactical, but it will know that we have, let's say, reserve 15-20% for the tactical. And so let's keep going. And how do I plan a program? So first, into planning a program, first thing that I will do, it's I would ensure that I have a vision, a clear vision where I want to go. Then I will develop the roadmap and ultimately business outcome to this roadmap. So let's look at the vision first. So the vision, it's and it's most of the time it's an ambitious vision because, like I mentioned initially, if it's not ambitious, probably it can be done within one project. But when it's ambitious, you have to have more than one project. So in this case, I have an example of an ambitious vision. And first thing that I get people to define is what is the end of that vision? What is the 2034? Keep in mind, this is the tool we used last year. Very simple tool, but very, very, very effective. What is the destination? Let's say if you're in New York City, and the question is, are you going to go in Chicago, or are you going to go in Washington, or are you going to go in Boston? Because knowing where you want to go, you will take different direction. And different mean. If you're going to Chicago, probably you will take plane. But if you're going to Boston and or Washington, maybe you will take a train, or you may take a car. So this is why it's key. What is the destination we're trying to achieve? And never develop a roadmap if the destination, the vision, is not clear. Because you're kind of drawing the road to get to somewhere that is not approved yet. So knowing where we want to go, then you high level, you draft how we're going to get there. Keep in mind that the vision is something which is a summary, few words, and the key to the vision, people has to remember it. And this is, we can put objective here. Most of the time, we're going to put one objective, let's say a sale, or we're going to put, let's say, market share, or we want to improve, we want to reduce the weight. So we're going to be very focused on one, maximum two objectives for people to remember. Keep in mind, a vision is something that has to be simple and people understand where we're going, and you will keep repeating the vision, repeating and repeating to a point that people say, oh yeah, I'm tired of seeing your vision. But so what you will do, you will repeat it a little bit quicker, in the sense that you're just going to bring it back and say, you know, guys, that program, this is where we're trying to go. This is our ambitious goal. And then you move on. So you just keep reminding people what is the end goal of that. Knowing that you have an ambitious vision and it's approved, then it allows you to develop the roadmap. So roadmaps are popular, but the problem, it's most of the people developing roadmap and they haven't done the vision and they haven't gotten the approval to that vision. So what it means is people are drawing the path to get to a destination that is not approved. That does not make sense. Okay, get this destination approved, then people will be pleased to see you to come back with the roadmap, which is a path. In this case, you see there's some technology development in orange. What it would mean, it means that there's a high level of uncertainties in some cases, so we do not work into the development if we haven't done kind of a at least to reduce some uncertainties. It could, in this case, we have technology, but it could be like business experience. It could be business model uncertainties. So it's not necessarily always technologies, but it's something that we're trying to do prior to the development. And in this case, we can clearly see that the first two projects there's less uncertainties, but the third one has. In this case, the diamond there is for the launch. It makes it very simple. In this case, this one is developed on Excel. There's other tools like Visio and some of the things to develop a roadmap. But if you make them simple, you don't need a complicated tool. Don't be confused between roadmap and Gantt. So some people, they say, oh yeah, I have a roadmap, but this is not a roadmap, it's a Gantt. So those are tasks and within one project. This is projects, okay? So we don't get into too much detail in this case. Obviously, when we have a roadmap, what is interesting is we can quantify. Can quantify the business results. So what is the innovation investment, but also what is the business results? In this case, I have sales, but it could be other objective. We could have, I was talking about to reduce the weight, to serve more people, but ultimately so what is interesting about a program is we can give 3 years forecasts on what needs to be invested, okay, in terms of hours, in terms of dollars, or in terms of capex, capital investment, and also 5 years vision on potential objective results. And this allows us to ultimately look at, okay, what is the in this case net promoter value. We see on the graph also what is the payback period for the innovation. And so I'm going to get into more details in a later video for this tool. So let's look at the summary in some cases. When we're looking at something which is smaller, let's say like a new product, an extension, a new feature to a current product that we're going to commercialize anew, this is how we do projects. But when we move to another level, like some people say, yeah, I have a very, very big project. But in fact, it's not a very, very big project. It is a program. So because it's a new platform and that is a program. So just so we don't mix the two. So I hope you like this video. So there will be some others video coming into the innovation program, and looking forward for you to have a watch through these videos. Thanks.
If you haven't already done so, you can get your hands on our popular 60-page visual guidebook for free. Click the link in the description below. Don't hesitate to watch the next video to learn even more about innovation management practices.